Your fridge just died. You've got a garden full of vegetables, a farm share box arriving weekly, and about 48 hours before everything rots. Now what? Well, if you were born before 1950, this wouldn't even be a problem, because your grandma knew 7 different ways to preserve food without electricity, and she didn't need YouTube to figure it out. We're covering 7 preservation methods that kept humans fed for thousands of years. No fancy equipment, no industrial processes, just techniques that actually work. Let's go. Method 1. Oil preservation. Submerging food in liquid gold. Let's start with the simplest method that makes everything taste better, drowning your food in oil until bacteria gives up. The technique: take your vegetables, peppers, eggplant, mushrooms, garlic, herbs, whatever. Prepare them properly, then completely submerge them in oil. Usually olive oil because we're not savages. Seal it up, and boom, preserved for months. The key is completely submerged. Any food sticking out above the oil line will mold faster than your New Year's resolutions fail. Why it works. Oil creates an anaerobic environment. No oxygen equals no aerobic bacteria. Most of the microorganisms that spoil food need oxygen to survive. Cut off their air supply, and they die. It's basically waterboarding for bacteria, but legal and delicious. The oil also seals out moisture and contaminants. Plus, oil itself doesn't support bacterial growth. There's no water in pure oil, and bacteria need water like you need coffee on Monday morning. What you can preserve: roasted peppers. Char them first, peel, then submerge. Last 6+ months refrigerated. Sun-dried tomatoes. Already dried, oil adds flavor and extends life. Nearly indefinite. Garlic cloves. Peel, submerge. Use the garlic and the infused oil. Game changer. Fresh herbs. Chop them, pack in oil, freeze in ice cube trays. Cooking herb bombs on demand. Cheese, fresh mozzarella balls in herbed oil. Fancy and preserved. Marinated vegetables, artichokes, mushrooms, eggplant. Italian grandmas have been doing this forever. The science. The oil acts as a barrier, but you're not relying on it alone. Most recipes involve some pre-treatment. Roasting kills surface bacteria, salting draws out moisture, or acidifying with vinegar lowers pH. The oil is the final seal that keeps everything preserved. The danger zone. Here's where I need to be serious for a second. Raw garlic in oil at room temperature can cause botulism. The bacteria thrives in oxygen-free, low-acid environments. So if you're preserving garlic in oil, you must refrigerate it and use within a week. Or acidify it first with lemon juice or vinegar. Don't be the person who dies from homemade garlic oil. That's a terrible obituary. Modern application. This is stupid easy. Prepare your food, roast, blanch, or leave raw depending on item. Pack in clean jars. Cover completely with oil. Leave no air pockets. Refrigerate for most items. Use within 2 to 6 months depending on the food. The bonus, that infused oil, it's now worth its weight in gold. Garlic oil for pasta, herb oil for bread, pepper oil for pizza. You're not just preserving food, you're creating flavor weapons. Your options. Start preserving everything in oil like an Italian grandmother. Just buy those jars of marinated artichokes and pay 500% markup. Let your produce rot while you contemplate your life choices. Pro tip: use the oil from your preserved foods in cooking. That garlic oil has been infusing for months. It's basically liquid flavor. Method 2. Canning, trapping summer in a jar. Canning is the method that built empires and won wars. No, seriously. Napoleon offered a cash prize for better food preservation, and canning was invented as a result. History is weird. The technique: take your food, pack it in jars, heat process it to kill bacteria, and seal it so tight that nothing can get in or out. The result? Shelf-stable food that lasts years without refrigeration. There are 2 types. Water bath canning for high-acid foods, fruits, tomatoes, pickles, jams. Submerge jars in boiling water for a set time. The heat kills bacteria, the seal prevents recontamination. Pressure canning for low-acid foods, vegetables, meats, soups. Requires a pressure canner that reaches 240 degrees Fahrenheit to kill botulism spores. This isn't optional. You need the pressure canner for low-acid foods. The science: heat kills microorganisms. Sealing prevents new ones from getting in. As the jars cool, they create a vacuum seal. that satisfying pop when you open them later. That seal is your guarantee that nothing has contaminated your food. The pH matters enormously. High-acid foods, pH below 4.6, prevent botulism naturally. Low-acid foods need pressure canning to reach temperatures high enough to kill Clostridium botulinum spores, which survive boiling water. What you can preserve? Pretty much everything if you follow proper procedures. Tomatoes, technically a fruit, borderline acid level, add lemon juice. Jams and jellies, sugar plus acid equals safe. Pickles, acid from vinegar makes them safe. Fruits, naturally acidic. Vegetables, must pressure can. Meats, must pressure can. Soups and stews, must pressure can. Historical importance. Canning revolutionized food storage. Before canning, armies and ships relied on salted meat and hardtack. After canning, they could have vegetables and fruits year-round. This is why Britain dominated the seas. Better food meant healthier sailors. During World War II, home canning was patriotic duty. Victory gardens and home canning freed up commercial food for the troops. Your great-grandma probably canned hundreds of jars per year. The danger: botulism is no joke. It's a neurotoxin that causes paralysis and death. If you don't follow proper canning procedures, correct processing time, pressure, and acidity, you can create the perfect environment for botulism. Signs of botulism contamination: bulging lids, leaking jars, off smells, mold. If you see any of these, throw the jar away. Don't taste it. Don't feed it to your dog. Trash it. Modern application. Getting started requires investment but pays off. Water bath canner, $30 to $50. Pressure canner, $80 to $200. Jars, lids, and bands, $12 to $20 per dozen. Basic tools, jar lifter, funnel, etc., $15 to $25. Once you have equipment, it's just buying jars and lids. Jars last forever if not chipped. Lids are one-time use. The seal degrades. Bands are reusable. The payoff: a quart jar of home canned tomatoes costs about $2 in ingredients. Store-bought equivalent, $4 to $6. You're saving 50 to 70% and controlling exactly what goes in. No weird preservatives or added sodium. Plus, there's something deeply satisfying about looking at a pantry full of jars you canned yourself. It's like a delicious retirement fund. Your options: invest in canning equipment and preserve everything. Start small with water bath canning. Jams are easy. Keep buying store-canned food and never experience that satisfaction. Real talk: canning has a learning curve, but once you nail it, you'll wonder why you ever bought tomatoes in February. Summer in a jar beats winter produce every time. Method 3: sun drying or dehydrating. Ancient tech that still works. Humans figured this out about 5 minutes after agriculture was invented. Remove the water. Food lasts forever. Revolutionary. The technique: expose food to heat and airflow until moisture drops below 20% for most foods or below 10% for long-term storage. You can use the sun, an oven, or an electric dehydrator. The result is the same: dried food that lasts months or years. The science: microorganisms need water to survive, period. No water, no growth, no spoilage. Drying reduces water activity, AW, to levels where bacteria, mold, and yeast simply can't function. It's the oldest preservation method because it requires zero technology, just sun, air, and time. Desert cultures have been drying food for 10,000 plus years. What you can dry: almost everything, with varying results. Fruits, apples, apricots, strawberries, mangoes. Natural sugars concentrate, becoming candy-like. Vegetables: tomatoes, peppers, onions, mushrooms. Great for soups and stews. Herbs: basil, oregano, thyme. Dry in days, used for months. Meat: jerky, covered in the meat video but worth mentioning. Chilies: whole-dried peppers last year's, rehydrate perfectly. The 3 methods: sun-drying, free but weather-dependent. Lay food on screens in direct sunlight with good airflow. Cover with cheesecloth to keep bugs off. Takes 2 to 4 days depending on humidity. Works great in dry climates, not so much in humid areas. Oven drying: set oven to lowest temp, ideally 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Prop door open slightly for moisture to escape. Slower than a dehydrator but works. Takes 4 to 12 hours depending on food. Electric dehydrator: most reliable method. Consistent temperature, controlled airflow, stackable trays. Takes 4 to 12 hours. Initial investment: $40 to $200, but worth it for regular use. Historical context: Native Americans dried berries, fish, and meat for winter storage. Mediterranean cultures sun-dried tomatoes, figs, and grapes, which become raisins. Mind blown. Vikings dried fish on coastal rocks. Everyone, everywhere figured this out independently because it's that fundamental. The process. Prepare, slice food uniformly. Thickness matters for even drying. Pre-treat if needed. Dip fruit in lemon juice to prevent browning. Blanch vegetables to stop enzyme activity. Dry until leathery or brittle depending on the food. Condition. Let dried food sit in jars for a week. Shake daily to distribute any remaining moisture. Store in airtight containers away from light and heat. The payoff of dried food weighs 80 to 90% less than fresh. A pound of fresh strawberries becomes about 2 ounces dried. This is why backpackers and hikers love dehydrated food. Maximum nutrition, minimum weight, plus flavors concentrate. Sun-dried tomatoes are more intensely tomatoey than fresh. Dried mango is sweeter than fresh. You're not losing flavor. You're amplifying it. Your options. Buy a dehydrator and dry everything you can't eat fresh. Use your oven and improvise. Keep buying those expensive, artisanal dried fruits at Whole Foods. Pro tip, dehydrate excess herbs before they go bad. Dry them, crumble into jars, and you've got better than store-bought dried herbs for pennies. All right, quick check-in. We've covered drowning food in oil, trapping it in jars under pressure, and removing all its moisture like a food vampire. Notice the theme? Every method is about controlling the environment where bacteria can survive. Cut off their oxygen, water, or ideal pH, and they die. We're basically creating hostile real estate for microorganisms. Now we're getting into the methods that don't just preserve food, they transform it into something entirely different. These next techniques create flavors that didn't exist before. This is where it gets really interesting. Stay with me. Method 4. Pickling. Acid makes everything better. Pickling is the art of making vegetables last longer by drowning them in acid until bacteria surrenders. And somehow, it's delicious. The technique. Submerge food in a brine, salt water, or vinegar solution, often with spices, and let the acid do its work. The low pH creates an environment where harmful bacteria can't survive. There are 2 types: quick pickling, refrigerator pickles, vinegar-based, ready in hours, lasts weeks refrigerated, easy and foolproof. Fermented pickling. Salt brine creates conditions for beneficial bacteria, lactobacillus, to produce lactic acid. Takes days to weeks, lasts months. This is traditional pickles, sauerkraut, and kimchi. The science acid drops pH below 4.6, which prevents botulism and most harmful bacteria. The magic number again, below 4.6, botulism can't grow. Vinegar naturally sits around pH 2.4 to 3.4, so it's a safety buffer. For fermented pickles, salt inhibits bad bacteria while allowing good bacteria to thrive. Those good bacteria produce lactic acid as they ferment sugars, which drops the pH and preserves the food. What you can pickle. Literally almost anything. Cucumbers. Obviously, this is the gateway pickle. Onions. Red onions pickled are restaurant quality in 20 minutes. Jalapenos and peppers. Green beans. Dilly beans are criminally underrated. Carrots, beets, cauliflower. Eggs. Yes, pickled eggs are a thing. Watermelon rind sounds weird, tastes amazing. Quick pickle recipe. Stupid simple. Heat vinegar, water, sugar, and salt. 1:1 vinegar to water ratio. Pour over vegetables in jars. Add spices, garlic, dill, peppercorns, mustard seed. Refrigerate. Wait at least 2 hours, better after 24 hours. Boom. Restaurant quality pickled vegetables that last a month refrigerated. Fermented pickling. More complex but worth it. Make brine, 2 to 3% salt by weight of water. Submerge vegetables completely, they must stay under brine. Cover and let ferment at room temperature for 3 to 7 days. Taste daily. When sour enough for you, move to fridge. Last months refrigerated, the vegetables will bubble and get cloudy. That's good. That's the bacteria doing their job. Historical importance. Pickling saved lives. Before refrigeration, pickled vegetables were the only way to get vitamins C and K during winter. Sailors ate pickled vegetables to prevent scurvy. Korean kimchi traditions go back thousands of years. German sauerkraut was staple winter food. Fun fact, Captain Cook credited sauerkraut with keeping his crew healthy during long voyages. Scurvy was the leading cause of sailor deaths, and fermented vegetables prevented it. Your options. Quick pickle everything and feel like a culinary genius. Try fermentation and join the kimchi cult. Keep buying jarred pickles for $6 when you could make a gallon for $3. Real talk. Once you make your own pickled red onions, you'll put them on everything. Tacos, sandwiches, salads, straight from the jar at midnight. They're addictive. Method 5. Fermentation, controlled rot that tastes amazing. Fermentation is basically harnessing bacteria to preserve food by letting them eat all the sugar and produce acid and alcohol. It's controlled decomposition, and it's how humans survived before refrigeration. The technique: create conditions where beneficial bacteria or yeast thrive while harmful ones die. Usually involves salt, anaerobic conditions, no oxygen, and time. The good microbes produce acids or alcohol that preserve the food and create complex flavors. The science: you're cultivating specific microorganisms. Lactobacillus, lactic acid bacteria, converts sugars to lactic acid, creates sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, sourdough. Yeast, Saccharomyces, converts sugars to alcohol and CO2, creates beer, wine, kombucha, bread. Acetic acid bacteria converts alcohol to acetic acid, creates vinegar. These beneficial microbes create environments hostile to pathogens. Low pH, alcohol content, and beneficial bacteria competing for resources keep bad bacteria from establishing. What you can ferment: way more than you think. Vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, hot sauce, dairy, yogurt, kefir, cheese, cultured butter. Beverages: kombucha, beer, wine. Grains: sourdough bread, tempeh, miso. Fruits: wine, cider, preserved lemons. The process: basic vegetable fermentation. Chop vegetables and mix with 2 to 3% salt by weight. Pack tightly into jars, pressing down to release juices. Keep submerged. Vegetables under brine prevents mold. Ferment at room temperature for days to weeks. Taste regularly. When sour enough, move to fridge. Enjoy for months. The vegetables will bubble, smell funky, but not rotten, and develop tangy flavor. This is all normal and good. Why it's superior: fermented foods are better than fresh in many ways. Probiotics, beneficial bacteria for gut health. Enhanced nutrition: fermentation creates vitamins, especially B vitamins and K2. Easier digestion: bacteria pre-digest complex carbs. Complex flavors: develops umami, sourness, depth that fresh food lacks. Preservation: lasts months without refrigeration, though we usually refrigerate now. Historical importance: every culture has fermentation traditions. Korean kimchi, 3,000 plus year tradition. German sauerkraut, essential winter food. Japanese miso and natto. Middle Eastern preserved lemons. Eastern European kvass and kefir. Worldwide beer and wine traditions. Fermentation predates written history. Humans have been fermenting food for at least 10,000 years, possibly longer. The safety of fermentation is remarkably safe because the good bacteria create an environment where pathogens can't survive. The low pH, competition for resources, and production of antimicrobial compounds keep bad bacteria out. That said, know the warning signs: bad, slimy texture, pink/black mold, rotten smell. Good, white surface mold, scrape it off. Bubbling, sour smell, cloudy brine. When in doubt, trust your nose. Fermented food smells sour and funky, but not rotten or putrid. Your options: start fermenting and join the probiotic revolution. Begin with simple sauerkraut, just cabbage and salt. Keep buying $8 jars of fermented food at Whole Foods. Real talk: homemade sauerkraut is a game changer. It costs $2 for a quart jar, 1 cabbage plus salt, versus $8 to $12 for store-bought. Plus, you control the flavor and know exactly what's in it. Method 6. Preserving in sugar or syrup. Sweet preservation. Sugar doesn't just make food taste good. It's a legitimate preservative. High sugar concentration prevents microbial growth the same way high salt does. The technique: submerge fruit in sugar syrup, cook fruit with sugar until concentrated jam, or pack in straight sugar. The sugar binds water molecules, making them unavailable to bacteria and mold. The science: sugar works through osmotic pressure. High sugar concentration pulls water out of bacterial cells through osmosis, basically dehydrating them to death. It also binds free water in the food, lowering water activity, AW, below levels where microbes can function. The magic concentration is around 50 to 65% sugar. Below that, you might get mold. Above that, it's unnecessarily sweet and expensive. What you can preserve: mostly fruits, but creative people push boundaries. Jams and jellies. Cooked fruit plus sugar plus pectin equals shelf-stable spread. Preserves: fruit in thick syrup with chunks intact. Marmalade, citrus-based preserve, slightly bitter. Fruit syrups, concentrated fruit juice plus sugar for cocktails or pancakes. Candied fruit, fruit cooked in sugar syrup multiple times until translucent. Fruit butter, ultra smooth, concentrated fruit spread. Apple butter, pumpkin butter. The 3 main methods: jams, jellies, cooked. Cook fruit with sugar, usually 1-to-1 ratio by weight. Add pectin or use high pectin fruits, apples, citrus. Cook to gel point, 220 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level. Can using water bath method. Shelf stable for 1 to 2 years. Fruit in syrup, canned. Make sugar syrup, light, medium, or heavy depending on preference. Pack raw or blanched fruit in jars. Pour hot syrup over fruit, water bath process. Shelf stable for years. Candied, crystallized fruit. Simmer fruit in sugar syrup. Repeat daily with increasing sugar concentration. Takes 1 to 2 weeks of daily processing. Final result is translucent, shelf-stable fruit. Lasts months to years. Historical context. Sugar preservation was luxury for most of history because sugar was expensive. Wealthy households would preserve fruits in sugar syrup or make jams. Candied fruits were special occasion food. Honey was the original sweet preservative. People preserved fruit in honey for thousands of years before refined sugar became accessible. The pectin factor. Pectin is the magic that makes jams gel. Some fruits are high in pectin. Apples, citrus, cranberries. Others are low. Strawberries, peaches, blueberries. Options: commercial pectin, reliable, consistent results, faster cooking time. Natural pectin, from high pectin fruits or homemade from apple scraps. Low sugar pectin, special formulation for reduced sugar recipes. Traditional jams without added pectin work, but require longer cooking and higher sugar ratios. The modern advantage: making jam is stupid easy with modern tools. Instant read thermometer. Gel point is 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Timer. Many recipes are 15 to 20 minutes total. Immersion blender for smoother jams. You can go from fresh strawberries to shelf-stable jam in about 45 minutes, including canning. The cost breakdown: store-bought artisanal jam, $8 to $12 for 8 to 10 ounces. Homemade jam, 2-pound strawberries, $4 to $6, on sale or pick your own. Sugar, 50 cents. Pectin, $1.50. Jar and lid, 75 cents. Total, $6.75 to $8.75 for 16 to 20 ounces. You're getting double the quantity for the same price, and yours actually tastes like fruit instead of corn syrup. Your options: make jam and give it as gifts. Instant popularity boost. Can fruit in syrup for winter cobblers. Keep buying expensive store jam that tastes like sugar with fruit essence. Real talk: homemade jam on fresh bread is one of life's simple pleasures. Once you taste strawberry jam that actually tastes like strawberries, you can't go back to commercial versions. Method 7. Root cellaring/cool storage. The method you didn't expect. Here's the curveball. The best preservation method might be no processing at all, just proper storage. The techniques: store food in specific temperature and humidity conditions that slow but don't stop natural deterioration. No canning, no processing, no equipment beyond a cool, dark space. Root cellaring isn't sexy. It doesn't involve jars or fermentation crocks or dehydrators. It's just putting food in the right place and leaving it alone. But it works, and it's how humanity survived for thousands of years. The science: you're manipulating 4 factors. Temperature: cold slows enzymatic activity and microbial growth. Humidity: different foods need different humidity levels. Ventilation: prevents ethylene buildup and removes excess moisture. Darkness: prevents sprouting and vitamin degradation. Get these 4 right, and food lasts months without any processing. What you can store: way more than you think. Cold and moist, 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 90 to 95% humidity. Root vegetables: carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, 3 to 5 months. Cabbage and Brussels sprouts, 3 to 4 months. Celery, 2 to 3 months. Cold and dry, 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 to 70% humidity. Garlic and onions, 5 to 8 months if properly cured. Shallots, 6 to 8 months. Cool and dry, 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 to 70% humidity. Winter squash, butternut, acorn, spaghetti, 3 to 6 months. Pumpkins, 2 to 3 months. Sweet potatoes, 4 to 6 months if cured first. Cool and moist, 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 to 90% humidity. Potatoes, 5 to 8 months in darkness to prevent greening. Some varieties last 4 to 6 months at 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Pears, 2 to 3 months. The setup: you don't need an actual root cellar. You need the right conditions: basement corner, partition off a corner, insulate if needed, add ventilation crawl space, if accessible and you can control moisture garage, in climates where it stays cold but not freezing. Buried container: trash cans or coolers buried in the ground, old school but effective. Spare refrigerator: not traditional but maintains perfect conditions. Closet on north wall, Coolest spot in houses without basements. The process. It's almost insultingly simple. Harvest properly. Don't wash root vegetables. Soil protects. Cure alliums and squash. Sort. Remove any damaged produce. One bad apple literally spoils the barrel. Store correctly. Pack root vegetables in sand, sawdust, or damp peat moss. Store apples separately. They produce ethylene. Monitor. Check monthly. Remove any spoiling items immediately. Maintain conditions. Add water for humidity. Ventilate for freshness. Historical importance. This is the method for most of human history. Every farmhouse had a root cellar or cool storage area. It's how people ate vegetables in February before refrigeration. Your great-grandparents probably had a cellar full of bushel baskets. Potatoes, carrots, apples, onions, squash. They'd go down periodically, grab what they needed, and everything lasted until spring planting. It requires no processing, no special equipment, no recipes, no timing, no risk of botulism. You just put food in a cool place, and it lasts. All those other methods, they're great, but they require time and effort and knowledge. Root cellaring requires a cool, dark spot and paying attention to humidity. That's it. Sometimes the best preservation method is the simplest. Not everything needs to be processed, canned, fermented, or dehydrated. Sometimes you just need to store it properly and leave it alone. This is what modern food culture forgot. Proper storage extends food life dramatically without processing. Your grandma knew this instinctively. We forgot because refrigerators made us lazy. A properly stored butternut squash lasts 6 months in a cool closet. A properly cured onion lasts 8 months hanging in the garage. Potatoes buried in damp sand in a cool basement last through winter into spring. No processing, just knowledge and appropriate conditions. Your options: set up a root cellar or cool storage area. Use what you have: closets, basements, garages. Keep cramming everything in your fridge and running out of space. So we covered 7 methods: oil, canning, drying, pickling, fermenting, sugar, and root cellaring. Each one works. Each one has been tested by thousands of years of human experience. But here's the twist you weren't expecting. The best preservation method is the one you'll actually use. It doesn't matter if fermentation is more nutritious or canning is more versatile if you never actually do it. The oil-preserved peppers you make are infinitely better than the fancy fermented vegetables you meant to make but didn't. The jar of jam you actually canned beats the elaborate root cellar you planned but never built. The real challenge: pick one method based on what you have space for, what equipment you own or can afford, what foods you actually eat, what fits your lifestyle. If you have a cool basement, try root cellaring. If you like pickles, try quick pickling. If you have fruit trees, learn to make jam. Don't try to master all 7. Master one, then maybe add another. Because preserved food you actually make and eat beats theoretical food preservation knowledge every single time. Why it matters. Your grandma knew these methods because she had to. Her survival depended on preserving summer's abundance for winter's scarcity. You don't have that pressure, but you do have food waste. Americans throw away 30 to 40% of food. Rising grocery costs, desire for better quality food, interest in self-sufficiency. These preservation methods solve all of those, but only if you use them. 7 methods, thousands of years of human knowledge, all still relevant today. But the most important preservation technique isn't on this list. Actually doing something with this knowledge. Pick one method, try it this month. Start small, learn, share, preserve something, anything. And suddenly you're not just consuming food, you're taking control of it. You're connecting with generations of humans who figured out how to eat in winter, who survived, who thrived. That's pretty cool when you think about it. Now go preserve something. Drop a comment with which method you're trying first. Share this with someone who bought too much produce and panicked. Stay preserved, stay fed, and remember, your grandma was cooler than you. Peace.